Hello to all Cinemaster lovers. Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. The movie begins with a boy named Theo, who performs magic tricks using playing cards and dreams of becoming a famous magician. His mother enters and tells him that he received a letter from a magic school, informing him that he has been accepted to join them. Theo is surprised by the news and thinks that his father, who used to teach him magic tricks, is the one who applied for him to join the institute. Theo gets excited and contacts the director of the institute named Preston, and tells him that he has been accepted into the largest magic teaching institute where he will be able to perform very difficult magic tricks, and his training will be overseen by famous magicians who were also graduates of the institute. Preston begins to give him an overview of the tricks he will learn, and tells him that he will be able to make friends with other children who are talented in magic like him, in addition to the possibility of applying for a magical competition that will be held in 30 days, where prizes will be awarded for the best team and the best magician. After the instructional video ended, Theo was impressed by what he heard, but he told his mother that he couldn't join the institute because he needed to take care of her and his brother after their father's death. His mother convinces him that the duration of the study at the institute does not exceed 30 days, and that she will be able to take care of herself and his brother. Theo is convinced by her words and decides to join the institute, especially since he believes his father is the one who submitted the application, and he wants to fulfill his wish and make him proud. At the same time, a taxi driver named Andy appears, taking passengers to downtown. Andy was also a graduate of the Magic Institute, but he abandoned the idea of practicing magic for unknown reasons and started working as a taxi driver. Later, Andy drives an old woman, and when she searches her bag for money to pay him, she finds that she has lost it. Andy performs a magic trick and gives her the money so she can pay him. After that, a person gets into the car with him, trying to convince him to return to the institute and teach the new students everything related to magic tricks. But Andy refuses the offer and tells him that he stopped practicing magic a long time ago and no longer has the Passion for it. Preston tries to convince him that he should think carefully about the offer before making his decision, because he is a very skilled magician and can achieve great things that no one can imagine. The next day, Theo arrives at the Magic Institute and sees many children like him, who are preparing to start learning magic inside the institute. And then, Andy also arrives at the institute after deciding to accept the offer to teach students magic. Andy tries to attract the students' attention by presenting himself as one of the best wizards in the history of the institute. All the students rush towards him enthusiastically, but he is surprised to find that another sorceress named Christina has arrived before him. Christina has become the most famous witch in America, which is why all the children know and love her. Meanwhile, Theo notices one of the institute's students effortlessly tossing popcorn in the air. Theo feels anxious and tells his mother that he doesn't belong in this place and believes he will fail. His mother tries to encourage him, telling him that his father was always confident in his abilities and certain of his innate talent. Theo is encouraged by her words and decides to move forward and join the institute. Theo enters with the other students to watch a magic show presented by Preston, the director of the institute, to introduce them to everything they will learn and the competitions they will participate in. Preston announces that the students will be divided into teams, and each team will be under the supervision of a famous magician who will teach them the arts of magical tricks. After 30 days, a magic competition called Top Hand will be held, and the winner will be awarded the Golden Magic Wand, whether it is the best team or the best magician. Preston presents the famous magicians who graduated from the academy, where one of them performs a magic trick that turns a piece of cloth into snow. Then another witch appears and amazes the children with a performance that makes a table fly in front of them. Then, Christina, the famous witch, enters and asks a child named Nissan, who is sitting next to Theo, to guess a character he dreams of becoming like. Christina draws that character and shows it to Nissan, but he tells her that her guess was wrong and that the character he imagined is different. Then, Christina tells him that the identity of the character he imagined is stored in the mind of the magician Andy, sitting at the end of the stage. Andy takes a piece of paper out of his pocket on which is written the name of the character that Nissan had already guessed. After that, Christina transforms the paper she drew on into a picture of the same character, impressing all the students. The students feel great joy at this amazing performance. After a short while, Preston introduces Andy to the children and tells them that he was the best magician at the institute and won the Golden Wand Award 3 times. Andy steps onto the stage to introduce himself, but he refuses to perform any magic tricks, which makes the students uninterested in him because they don't know him. When the theater performance ends, the students look for the room numbers where they will be sleeping. Nissan and Theo discover that they are in the same room. On their way to the room, they encounter a group of bullies led by a boy named Vic. Vic introduces himself and addresses Theo arrogantly, asking him to showcase his magical skills. Theo feels nervous because the children are watching him, and he makes a mistake while performing his magic trick. He mocks you in front of everyone and performs a magic trick where he hides water in a cup and then reveals it. After that, he pours the water in Theo's face, which angers all the children due to his behavior. At the same time, Andy was taking his personal belongings out of his car. Christina sees him and goes to talk to him, but he treats her coldly. It's revealed that Christina and Andy were friends in the past, but they separated for an unknown reason, and it seems that Andy harbors hatred towards her. After that, Christina returns to her team called Diamond, which includes Vic, who bullied Theo. At the same time, Andy goes to his team called Heart, which includes Theo and Nissan. Andy tries to get to know them and discover their abilities, but he realizes that they are beginners and know nothing about magic. At night, Andy's team sleeps while doubting his abilities, believing that he is not as skilled a magician as he is supposed to be. Andy gathers with them and tells them that the training for performing magic tricks will start the next day. While they were sleeping, Theo remembers a moment from his childhood when his father taught him a magic trick using playing cards. It turns out that his father was the one who taught him magic and encouraged him to develop his skills. The next morning, the manager, Preston, announces over the microphone that there are only 29 days left until the magic competition begins. Andy starts teaching his team the trick of untying a knot from their hands without assistance, but the entire team fails to execute it. Then he tries to teach them the trick of moving something from one hand to the other, but they fail again, except for Theo, who learns it secretly because he is a humble person and doesn't want to draw attention. After a while, Andy takes his team to a petting zoo to teach them magic tricks using animals. A girl named Ruth feels overwhelming joy when she sees the rabbits because she loves them very much, but she's afraid to touch them. Later, Andy goes to Principal Preston's office to tell him that his team consists of beginners in magic and they don't know how to perform any trick. Preston replies that everything is going according to plan and that Andy needs to discover the children's talents himself. Andy feels frustrated and tells Preston that he won't continue with this team because he believes they won't learn magic and won't be able to participate in the competition. He leaves the office and returns to his room to gather his belongings in preparation for leaving. By chance, he sees Theo performing a magic trick using playing cards with exceptional skill. When Theo notices Andy's presence, he gets nervous and stops performing. Andy praises Theo's talent, pointing out that the trick he performed is extremely difficult even for professed Theanals, especially when done with one hand. Andy asks Theo to repeat the trick, but Theo admits that he feels nervous when someone is watching him because he fears failure. Andy tries to encourage him and tells him to focus on the trick instead of thinking about the audience. Andy helps him successfully perform the trick again. Andy is impressed by Theo's skills and starts talking to him to learn about his life. Theo tells him that his father passed away and that he lives with his mother and younger brother. He also reveals that his father was his inspiration in learning magic and everything he does. Theo tries to pull off another trick, but he gets anxious when he remembers his father, who was the closest person to him. By chance, Andy says to him a phrase his father always used to encourage him, which restores Theo's confidence. He successfully executes the trick, which increases Andy's admiration for him. After that, Andy tells Theo that all the team members have unique talents, but he needs to discover exactly what each of them excels at to assign a specific type of magic to each. Andy decides to stay with the team and announces his determination to train them and teach them magic to win against the Christina team in the top hand competition. He takes the team back to the animal barn to train them, but they accidentally open the rabbit cage, causing the rabbits to escape. The team chases the rabbits to catch them, and in the meantime, Vic from Christina's team bullies them. At the same time, a girl named Janelle from Christina's team manages to execute the trick of untying the jacket wrapped around her body with exceptional skill. Theo sees Janelle leaving her team and heading towards the forest. He follows her and asks her how she executed that trick. Janelle tells him that the secret lies in enjoying what one does in order to execute any trick. The two start getting to know each other, and it becomes clear that Theo is interested in her. The next day, Andy's team returns to training where they learn the coin concealment trick, and for the first time, they succeed in executing it. The team's skills begin to develop noticeably day by day. Andy gathers his team and tells them that each team should have a special uniform that distinguishes them. To implement his idea, he performs a magic trick where he transforms his ordinary jacket into a luxurious one, impressing Jude, one of the team members. During this time, Andy discovers that Jude does not like magic and was forced to learn it by his father, a famous magician, while his true passion lies in fashion design. Andy seizes this opportunity and takes Jude to the fashion room, making him the official designer for their team. Later, Andy talks to Nissan, and discovers that he is skilled at calculations and has the ability to count things very quickly. Andy suggests to Nissan to harness his love for numbers in performing magic tricks based on calculations. Over time, the team continues to develop remarkably, with each member discovering their own unique talents, and they begin selecting the tricks they will perform in the competition. On the other hand, Theo tries to perform magic tricks in front of his friends, but he fails due to his nervousness in front of an audience. Andy takes him to a special room in the Institute known as the Desert Oasis Room. There, Theo notices an old photo of Andy and Christina, with a caption saying they were friends and worked as a team. Theo asks Andy about the sudden hatred between him and Christina, and Andy replies that they used to perform magic shows together and were very famous. But one day, he discovered that Christina had deceived him and performed a show alone without his knowledge. Andy felt a great disappointment and broke up with her. Over time, Christina became a famous magician, even though Andy was the one who taught her most of her tricks. Meanwhile, Janelle, the girl Theo likes, is trying to distance herself from Christina's team. But while trying to escape, she falls into a trap set by Christina. Christina confronts her and asks her why she wants to leave the team. Janelle reveals that her parents forced her to study at the Institute, and they are always busy with their own lives and do not pay attention to the magic tricks she performs. Christina advises her on the necessity of succeeding to prove her ability to rely on herself without anyone's help. On the other side, Andy meets with his team to help Theo relieve his tension in front of the audience. Andy suggests to Theo to focus on the trick he is performing without paying attention to what is happening around him. As part of the training, Andy asks the rest of the team to make a lot of noise while Theo performs his tricks, so he gets used to performing in distracting conditions. Successfully, Theo manages to overcome his anxiety and regain his self-confidence. With this progress, Andy's team becomes ready for the competition. Each member of the team is able to perform their magic tricks with pre-Scythion, and their perception of Andy changes. The relationship between Andy and his team begins to improve significantly as they start to love him, play with him, and have fun together, which enhances their team spirit. After a period of preparation, Andy's team confidently steps out, wearing a striking uniform, impressing the other teams. Meanwhile, Nissan goes to buy food, and Vic, a member of the competing teams, blocks his path and asks him to pick a card from the deck to perform a magic trick. Vic's goal was to mock Nissan in front of the children. Nissan picks a card, and Vic begins his magic trick, where he hides the chosen card and reveals it in the deck, impressing the children present. But Vic seizes the opportunity to mock Andy's team, claiming they have no skills. Then, Theo intervenes to defend his team and tells Vic that cards are his area of expertise and that he knows all the tricks related to them. Theo reveals the secret behind Vic's trick, explaining that he uses glue to hide the cards, which makes the children change their stance and be impressed by Theo, who successfully embarrassed Vic. To prove his ability, Theo performs an impressive card trick where he hides a card inside Vic's pocket without him noticing. Nissan feels happy to regain his dignity, which impresses Janelle, who was watching the situation closely, moved by Theo's talent. He gets tense because of the embarrassment in front of everyone, so he takes Theo's special deck of cards and burns it in front of the children. Theo gets very angry because he considered that deck of cards a precious gift from his late father. Vic's behavior causes everyone's displeasure, especially Janelle, who feels sad for Theo. That night, Andy's team gathers to support Theo and ease his burden. The team decides to share their personal stories to become closer to each other. Theo begins to reveal his pain over his father's death, who was the greatest person in his life and his biggest supporter. After that, Jude, the team's fashion designer, admits that he doesn't like magic but is afraid to tell his father because he forces him to learn it. Then it's Andy's turn, who confesses to the team that he lied to them when he said he loved performing magic shows. He admits that he lost his Passion for performances after Christina cheated on him and left him to work as a taxi driver. During the conversation, the team notices that Janelle looks at Theo in a way that shows her admiration for him. Later, Janelle approaches Theo and tells him that he is an extremely talented magician and that he deserves to win the title of the best magician in the Institute. Janelle seems on the verge of confessing her feelings to Theo, but she hesitates in the end. After the team goes to sleep, Vic sneaks in with his team to Andy's room and messes up all the team's equipment, increasing the tension before the anticipated competition. The next day, Andy's team wakes up to find themselves tied up and unable to move, their tools completely destroyed, and even their uniforms vandalized. Andy assumes that Christina's team is responsible for that, and he fears they will lose the competition because of them. But Andy insists on encouraging his team, explaining that the true magician is the one who can overcome difficulties and use their intelligence to create new magical tricks without the need for tools. Andy suggests that they take a break and go on a trip to the city to change the atmosphere. During the trip, the team members separate from each other and have a great time, each doing what they love. As night falls, everyone returns to the institute to sleep, except for Andy, who goes to talk to Christina. Andy confronts Christina and tells her that he believes she was the one who urged her team to destroy his team's tools. Christina denies the accusation, affirming that he knows her well as a friend and knows that these are not her actions. Christina justifies the situation that made Andy think she had deceived him in the past, explaining that she called the theater at that time and asked them to give him a chance to perform, but he didn't answer his phone. Therefore, the theater manager decided that she should continue performing the shows alone. Christina proves her sincerity by telling Andy that she contacted one of the show organizers in Las Vegas and recommended him to perform there tomorrow, confirming that she still considers him her friend and wishes to see him succeed. Andy is moved by her words and accepts the offer. Later, he tells his manager Preston about it, who encourages him to seize the opportunity to give the performance and return to the world of magic, even though the timing of the performance conflicts with the competition. Andy agrees to the offer, but he feels sad because he will leave without saying goodbye to his team. The next morning, Andy's team wakes up to prepare for the competition and notices Andy's absence. Preston tells them that Andy received an important offer and will return before the competition starts, and he takes it upon himself to prepare their magical tools. At the same time, Andy is performing his show in Las Vegas, impressing the audience with his magical skills. After the show, the theater owner offers him another opportunity to perform a late-night show, and if he succeeds, he will sign a contract to perform on television. Andy finds himself in a difficult position, either stay to seize this golden opportunity or return to support his team in the competition. Andy decides to accept the offer, but he feels torn inside. At the institute, the children's parents arrive to watch the competition and cheer for their children. Janelle feels sad when she notices the absence of her parents, unlike her other classmates whose parents came to support them. Under this pressure, Andy's team remains determined to give their best, but the absence of their leader poses a significant challenge. A few seconds later, Director Preston comes up and gathers Andy's team to tell them that he has a message from Andy. He opens the letter and starts reading it aloud to everyone, where Andy explains that he is very proud of them and trusts that they can win the competition despite his absence, but he confirms that he will not be able to attend. The team feels sad, but Andy's words give them a morale boost and encouragement to move forward. After that, Preston heads to the stage to announce the start of the competition. The audience warmly welcomes the judging panel, which includes Chris alongside other members of the jury. The performances start strong, as Ross, one of Andy's team members, takes the stage to present her magic act using a dove. The performance succeeds in dazzling the audience and gives the team a strong start. He follows her, who goes up to present his show using the deck of cards. The performance is well received by the audience, but Theon prevails among the team members due to Theo's absence from participation. Theo sits away, hesitant to interact or participate. Preston approaches him and asks about the reason for his withdrawal. Theo responds frankly and tells him that he feels no one cares about what he will present, and that the only person who supported him was Andy, in addition to his father, who always encouraged him before his death. Preston tries to lift his spirits by telling him that his mother has always been supportive of him too. He shows him his application to the institute and proves to him that his mother was the one who submitted the application from the beginning. He shows him an old video where his mother is talking to Preston, expressing her immense pride in her son's talent, affirming her belief in his abilities, and wishing for his success. The video deeply affects Theo and makes him reconsider his decision. At the same time, the performances on stage continue. Nissan, one of Theo's friends, steps up to present his amazing act using his extraordinary mathematical skills. The performance astonishes the audience and receives a warm round of applause. After him, Janelle comes to present her own act using her teleportation skill. Janelle enters a closed box and appears in another place in just 1 second, astonishing everyone. During the performance, Janelle notices her parents in the audience for the first time, giving her an extra incentive to finish her act with great success. After the show ends, Preston steps onto the stage to announce the end of the competition, while everyone waits for the results from the judging panel. Suddenly, Theo stands up and announces loudly that he will present his show now. All eyes turn to him as he confidently steps onto the stage. He asks his mother to help him with the performance, which surprises everyone. Theo begins performing a complex trick using playing cards, successfully capturing the attention of the audience and the judges, confirming that he has a unique talent worthy of admiration. At this moment, Andy reveals that he had been watching his team all along, and that he chose to sacrifice the opportunity to present his own show to stay by their side and support them. Andy later explains that his goal in distancing himself from them for a while was to teach them to rely on themselves, and not to tie their success solely to his presence. Theo confidently steps onto the stage and presents a captivating performance using a deck of cards, explaining to the audience and the judges that the deck contains only one card representing the queen. He compares the queen to his mother, whom he sees as the source of inspiration and light in his life. The performance ends with all the playing cards transforming into the queen card, astonishing the judges and the audience. The hall begins to applaud warmly for Theo, and his mother feels immense pride as Theo finally realizes her unwavering support and deep love for him. The magic shows conclude, and it's time to announce the results. Preston steps onto the stage and announces that Andy's team is the winner of the competition, bringing joy to the entire team. Andy suddenly appears to join them in the celebration, expressing his great pride in them. Later, the award for Best Magician is announced, which is won by Janelle for her impressive performance of the teleportation trick in less than a second. As the day comes to an end, the students prepare to return home after finishing their studies at the institute. Andy goes to talk to Christina, where he apologizes for not delivering his performance fully and explains that he chose to stay with his team. He also tells her that he has decided to stop performing magic shows professionally and work at the institute to teach children, as he found his true passion in educating the new generations. Theo's mother is talking to him, expressing her immense pride in him after the amazing performance he gave, affirming that she has always believed in his talent. Suddenly, Vicar appears to apologize to Theo for everything he did to him in the past. He gives him his father's deck of cards, revealing that the cards were never burned but were just a trick. This surprises Theo and makes him happy. Vic encourages him and tells him that he looks forward to facing him in the upcoming competitions because he sees him as a very talented magician. At the end of the events, Janelle comes and asks Theo to stay in touch with her during the vacation, and she confesses her love for him in front of her parents. The moment combines feelings of love and pride, and the story ends in an atmosphere of success and mutual appreciation among everyone. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button to get more new videos. See ya!